Well, welcome back, team. We're kicking off the 22-23 academic year. Really excited to get started. I know that it's been a little while since we reconvened this entire group, and we have a few people missing, so hopefully we'll have some join us as we get further into today's talk. But this session today was really to bring the group back together, to go over. I know that there's been a lot of emails and conversations individually with some of the updates and changes that we have going on. So we'll spend some time going into some of those details. So to start, well, here's a quick agenda of what we are hoping to cover today. So initially a welcome. I think we have a couple of new intros for people who are new to the team today. We'll talk a little bit about our coffee breaks that are continuing this semester, our employer virtual series. We're already starting to think about internships for summer 23. Can you believe it? We're here, we're talking about it. We'll talk a little bit about academic tracking, and then we'll spend hopefully the last half of the call being able to go into some breakout rooms and idea share about what you all have going on your campuses and plans for this semester with your programs. All right, sound good? Awesome. Well, welcome. We have a couple of new team members on the call today, so I want to do a call out to those individuals to be able to introduce themselves. So I think everybody else, I'm just clicking through who's here. I think most of us are vets and have been here. So to our newest team members, maybe we'll start with Ivana, if you want to introduce yourself to the group.
I was going to say, I'm happy to go first. Hey, folks, my name is Ivana Breo. I know I've been able to pop in since I started in January, but wanted to get a formal opportunity to introduce myself to the group. Like I said, Ivana Breo, I'm actually in the East Coast, so working out of Baltimore and the new STEM core summer bridge coordinator. So this past summer was my first summer with Growth Sector and going through 12 summer bridge programs. One, simultaneously, some going on all at the same time. Some of them, we just finished up a couple weeks ago. So I got a real nice breadth of what's happening out on your campuses, but also the needs of the students that Growth Sector is targeting. So really happy to be here with all of you and idea share, and to be a part of these meetings a little bit more as we go into, summer bridge mode a little bit later. And yeah, happy to be here. Oh, something about myself. I don't have a campus, but I can tell you something about myself. I'm sipping on coffee right now because I love coffee and I have to really come to terms with that. And I've decided that's the thing I need to tell you guys about myself. And I'm also getting married in 6 weeks. So I'm freaking out, y'all. But really excited and happy to meet all of you.
And a destination wedding, nonetheless.
And a destination wedding, Dominican Republic.
Exciting. Thanks, Ivana. It seems like our newbies are from the Growth Sector team. Myra, do you want to reintroduce yourself to the group in your new role?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm sure you've already seen my face too many times to count, but I'm still here in a new role this time with Growth Sector. I'm super grateful and excited to be what's my title again? Program coordinator with Growth Sector. I'm no longer at Santa Ana College, but still very much, helping them out and all that good stuff while they get things in place and everything. But here to help you guys all network wide, and just super excited to be part of the Growth Sector team because they're just amazing, and I think we do a really good job together. So excited to be here in a new capacity.
Thanks so much, Myra. And so we are expecting a new support specialist at Santa Ana College. Hopefully they will be in place by our next all team meeting, so you all will have the chance to meet them when they come in. I was hoping we'd have a couple of our other newer ads on the call today, but I did want to give a shout out to Marina at Ohlone College. Marina recently retired. and is no longer, well, formally supporting the STEM core program. I know she's supporting us at a distance, but is no longer going to be on these calls acting as support specialist. And then also I wanted to note that Nancy at HCC has transitioned out of the support specialist role at Howard Community College, and Kenny has taken over. I think I was hoping Kenny would be on the call, but he's great and is doing a great job with the program already. So hopefully he'll be on a call in the near future for you all to meet him as well. Awesome. And I think everybody else on the call, if I missed you, please feel free to speak up. But I think everybody else on the call has been here and we're excited to have you back. Okay, so a couple of updates. I know I just wanted to make sure that we verbalize this because you have all gotten a litany of emails and updates from our growth sector team over the last few weeks. So just making sure that this is all on your radar. So we are continuing with the support specialist coffee breaks. For a reminder for all of you who have participated, or if you haven't in the past, totally okay. The coffee breaks are more of an open forum. They are informal. We do not record the sessions, and it's really an opportunity for you to connect with each other, ask questions, vent, idea share. You can bring topics to the conversation. It's pretty informal. So we did move to, I think we're doing this every 3 to 4 weeks based on the schedule below. So our first session will be on September 28th for this semester. So I will do my best to send out reminders, but just note that those are continuing this semester. And I will be sure to email all this out again in case you missed it earlier. All right, and then I wanted to give a huge shout out to all of you in terms of our internship season for this past summer. We, through the STEM Core program, placed just under 100 students across the network. And it's huge kudos to all of you for the hard work that you've put in preparing your students, getting them to apply, helping them prepare their resumes. We had, I think, our most successful internship season that we've had as a network, where we heard nothing but positive remarks from our employer partners who were so excited for the opportunity to host STEM core students. And I think almost everybody is asking for a continued relationship and looking to bring on more of our students for next summer. So I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that. I think for most of you who had interns, Myra did a great job of putting together these student profiles and their testimonials. So we did our best to send them out to you directly for your campuses so you could get a look at some of the great things that your students had said. But kind of keeping with that same momentum, we are already thinking about internships for next summer. I was telling Myra and the growth sector team yesterday, I created the summer 23 internship file or folder already in our internal box. So it's already happening. But a couple of things that we are doing to make sure that our students across the network are feeling prepared going into internship opportunities. So first, we have the Employer Speaker Series. So similar to what we've done in previous years, we are bringing on both four-year partners who are going to be taking on students for research in the summer, and then also employer partners who we know will be taking on STEM core interns for this summer. So for the most part, these are taking place on Fridays between 11 to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. They're an hour. They do require students to register in advance. So the flyer that went out to all of you already is clickable with the links. So your students can click right on the link and register for the session, and then they'll get the Zoom link once they register. And these hour sessions are our employer partners coming on to talk to students a little bit about who they are, projects that they're working on, what they're looking for from potential interns. And then for several of these, we are bringing on actual STEM core interns who've interned either this past summer or previous summers to talk a little bit about their experiences as well. We did our Cal State LA call last week with a pretty good turnout. So thank you all to spreading the word. And I will do my best to send out reminders each week. That way you can remember to send out the link to your students to register. Any thoughts, questions about the Employer Speaker Series? Cami, sure.
Yeah, thank you. So I am assuming that it would be very obvious if any of the internship opportunities were remote, and that we should assume that they're in person otherwise.
Actually, several of them are offering hybrid.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I wouldn't rule yourself out if you aren't necessarily like that students couldn't attend just for information. But I know several of our employers are hoping to transition more towards virtual or towards in-person. We did have several opportunities that were virtual this past summer, and we've heard just that it worked so well that some are open to hybrid or totally virtual as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what I've been telling them is assume that if they're on the West Coast, they're going to want people to come in, but go anyway because you never know. So
yeah,
I'll let them know that some of them are.
Awesome. That's perfect, Kimmy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then I want something a little bit different that we're doing this semester is just as we've gotten feedback from students through, you know, that Growth Sector does individual interviews with all of our students who apply for STEM core internships, is some of the things that we've heard from students is, and that we've seen, is that resumes, we want to make sure that our students are feeling confident with their STEM resumes. So Myra did lead, or actually Myra, do you want to talk a little bit about the resume workshops that you've done so far?
Sure. So we've already offered 2 resume workshops for students. They are recorded. So if you need us to send that to you, we definitely can. But along with that, I created a Google Drive for with some resources for students, so that way it can walk them through setting up their resumes. And then I also created already an appointment link for students to have. They can basically sign up for a one resume review with me. I've already met with a couple students and it's been going really well. I have, I think, open up to like 2 or so weeks, but I keep, in essence, every week I keep updating my schedule and adding another week. So that way, you know, students, if they need a schedule or a resplit schedule or whatever. But yeah, feel free to share those with your students. I'm more than happy to connect with them. And that way it also kind of allows me to meet them, because I'll probably be seeing them sooner rather than later as we move into the internship process and we do the round 1 interviews with them. But yeah, if you can encourage them, if they want to do a resume review, to do it sooner rather than later, because once that application opens, that's usually when the swamp of just requests come in and it gets a little crazy. So if we can try to get those going beforehand, it's always super helpful. So yeah, feel free to share that information with your students.
Thanks, Myra. And we've had a pretty good turnout for the first 2 sessions, and I can sort of see like the views on the YouTube where we've posted. So students are watching it, but I think it's super helpful, and Myra does a good job of going over the basics, and especially for STEM core students, like knowing a lot of the classes our students are taking and involvement that they have and how to articulate that onto a STEM resume. So as a support specialist, if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to check it out, because we always tell students that most of the time you're going to work with your support specialist on your STEM resume to start, and Growth Sector is an additional line of support that they can tap into as well. So as we sort of move forward from resumes, well, not move forward, we're always doing resumes. We've also started to talk to students, or as we interviewed them last summer, as we did check-ins with interns throughout their placements, we started to hear a little bit more on how students are perceiving their internship placements. How do they feel about their overall preparedness? And overall, we know that a lot of our students deal with imposter syndrome and just feeling like they are not ready, that why would an employer want to hire them? They are only in their first year in the STEM core program. And that's really why we developed this Getting to the Bag career readiness strategies for students pursuing STEM careers. So that's taking place on October 14th, where we have a Growth Sector House actually contracted a career readiness professional to come in to talk to our students in this workshop. So I think it'll be a really interactive and fun session, just because I've seen the content, and I think if we can push for students to attend, of course it'll be recorded, but definitely as we get ready to launch the summer 23 internship application, we want to be able to provide as much resources for our students as possible. And then lastly, on November 17th, we are planning to host another LinkedIn workshop. Hopefully at that point, a lot of our students have started to think about their STEM resumes and started crafting it, and then we can work with them around creating a LinkedIn profile and the specific strategies that they can be using to connect and network through the platform. All right, I know it's a lot of information. Any questions or thoughts so far? I love, you know how Zoom shows you just like a certain number of tiles, like Cami, I'm staring like straight at you. And I love how like her facial expressions are like always the best. Like I feel what you're saying.
Have a very loud face, and I mostly do that because I do the same thing when I'm running one. I'm like, okay, let me scan who looks confused, you know.
But I feel like I normally end up on you, so it's always like very funny. I'm like, okay, Cami knows what's going on, so I feel like we're good. That's what's going on. So next big update is academic tracking. We all love to hate it, y'all, especially me. But we have revamped the academic tracking and just how we're collecting information for the 22-23 academic year. So you all know, in the past, there was an Excel spreadsheet that we would have you fill out. You would submit it to our Dropbox. And in previous years, we were collecting information on you were de-identifying the information and submitting information on each student in that spreadsheet. It looks a little bit different this year, where you are going to be essentially submitting demographic information, but for your group. So you will be submitting full counts so instead of saying student A, B, C, and D, you're going to say we have X amount of students who identify as, right? So we're hoping that this makes the process a little bit easier and a little bit more seamless. So, and I apologize because I don't have the full form pulled up, but we're hoping that this form will take you under 30 minutes to fill out if you have the information for your students. It should be quick and painless, and then we will have you go back in towards the end of the academic year, simply to update with any students you've added throughout the year, and then where your students finished in terms of calculus readiness. All right, so I'm planning to send out the official request and the link to the form probably tomorrow, I think. So if you have questions, if this doesn't make sense to you, please ask, please let me know. I'm hoping that this makes things a little bit easier for you and also easier on the back end as we are collecting information for the entire network. But I'm hopeful, y'all. I think this is it, and this is going to work. All right, any questions about that?
When is it due back to you?
Oh, what is the date that I said? You have about 3 weeks.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Great, so that will be coming your way. I'll get that out to you by tomorrow. Okay, so actually before we go into, so I do want to spend some time doing an idea share, and we'll go into breakout groups, but I wanted to open the forum because this has been a lot of me talking with a lot of updates from the growth sector end, but I wanted to do an open call. If you have any announcements or anything that you wanted to share with the group as a whole before we go into smaller groups.
I have one update. So I am essentially the part of a 3-person team at CCBC. We have 2 other support specialists, Phil Tompkins and Raina Smith. They are both graduate students, so they usually have class conflicts during this time. But Phil in particular has dual degrees in computer science and psychology, and due in part to the growth sector workshops covering a little bit more of the resume stuff and some of the other stuff, and the fact that our cohort is largely returners, we're doing a lot of really specialized tech workshops that I would love to be able to send to everybody. Like Phil is teaching people how to make a GitHub portfolio and, you know, how to differentiate between other technical things that I have no idea what they mean. So I'll be sending it out hopefully to everybody as something that we can share. So.
Oh, that's awesome, Cami. I love just seeing the diversity within the support specialist talent pool.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah.
And we're taking advantage.
No, as you should. What a great resource. So yes, please send it out. And I don't know, I think everybody at this point is on Basecamp as well, the Basecamp campfire. So that's a great place as well. I would like to, so I always try to email out information, but also post it to the Basecamp. So if you haven't plugged into it for a while, please check in. You can share updates there, ask questions. It's there for you all. Thanks for sharing though, Cami. Anybody else?
I have a kind of a little bittersweet. Our engineering tech coordinator, Todd Steffen, has left LPC and he is now at DVC as a veterans counselor. So it's great for him and his family, but it's very sad for us. So hopefully we'll have a new veterans or a coordinator for the engineering tech program by October, maybe November.
Oh, well, Todd will be missed.
Jean, will that position run the Veterans First Center still? And then
Yes.
just the engineering tech will be under that? Okay.
Right.
Good. I'll touch base with Todd. I'm
We're-
sure he's.
If you
He's-
guys know Evelyn, we're hoping it's Evelyn. I'm hoping it's Evelyn, selfishly.
Great. Great. I'm sure Todd was pleased. I know he was ready to make the transition to a full-time counselor for a long time. So.
Hey, Cinnamon.
So I want to share that I have 29 new students enrolled in STEM Core at Fort Lewis this year, and 18 of my students from last year came back and want to be involved with the program. So I am both very excited and very, very tired.
Amazing. And I mean, not surprising. I know you put in a lot of really hard work in staying connected with the students and building out the program at Fort Lewis. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think I want to leave some time to be able to to allow everybody to connect in smaller groups. So while I think Myra's working on putting together the breakout rooms, just two primary or one big topic to cover is if you can share in your small group, what are you planning for fall 22 from workshops, programs, new initiatives that you can share. I think it's just always helpful to be able, whether you're collaborating or not, to be able just to share the wealth of like ideas, what you're doing on your campus, what you've been working on throughout the summer. So we'll spend about 15 minutes or so in our small groups, and we'll come back and report out to the larger groups with anything that was noteworthy that you can share with the larger group. And then we will go from there. So I will put it's one question. I don't think I need to put it in the chat, but yeah, so we'll come back in 15 minutes.
I go too, right, Cheryl?
If you'd like to, sure.
Okay, I'm going. Oh, I see it now, Myra. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna hold off from not going in a group, Myra, because I feel like sometimes you're on mute, Myra.
It wouldn't let me put either of us in there. But I can join one. Do you want me to join one?
If you want to. Sometimes I just feel like people talk more when, at least for me, when I'm not there to lead. So I'm just gonna stay out of the room.
Let me see. The only one that, what the heck, we lost one person. I don't know who jumped out, but they were in room 3 because Chris Ortiz is from SRI, right?
Yeah. But
Should I
he can
go
listen
into-
in. Is he in a room?
Yeah, but that person lost the room, so there's only Chris and who's Burns?
Oh, Maddie Burns. She's the support specialist at New Mexico State.
Should I join that one?
Yeah.
Let me join.
Okay. Thanks, Maya.
Mhm.
Can you just time it for 15 minutes and then. Okay.
Is to help students understand what specific actions they can take that will assist their learning, and like really looking at what do really successful students do that differentiates them from students who just struggle and don't seem to progress. And so this book really, one, like helped me have an understanding of just like when I see students who just don't seem to be getting there, what might be going on with them that I can give them actual meaningful, targeted, like actionable advice, rather than it just being like, oh, they need to try harder, or oh, they're disengaged, or something like that. And so, yeah, I've been really excited to share these strategies with my students. It's really assisted me just in my coaching conversations when I meet with them one-on-one and they're reporting struggles that they're having. I feel like I have actually useful things to say in response. And so, yeah, it's been amazing.
Wow, that sounds really cool. Ivana, thanks for putting the link in the chat. I think so often a lot of us as support specialists are like, it seems like a book like that could give you some direction in terms of when you meet with students for one-on-ones. So I could see that being super helpful.
And Cinnamon was saying that she meets with the students for 2 hours a week, 2 1-hour sessions every week. And for the first half of the first semester, they get 1 credit for doing that. So she has some time and she's able to set up a system where they keep meeting even if they don't get credit for the rest of the year.
Very cool. How did you go about setting that up, Cinnamon? Or like,
So Fort Lewis College requires every incoming freshman to take a 1 credit course that we call first year launch, that can be taught by any faculty or staff and is intended to orient them to the resources on campus, give them some faculty or staff member that they just have a personal connection with, and just kind of connect them to resources and help them get their feet under themselves as a college student. And anyone can sign up to teach this. So I just raised my hand and said, hey, can I teach a section? But it's only for STEM core students. So every incoming freshman that signs up for STEM core just takes my class. And that way, since we already do the things that are the goal of this program, instead of taking an additional class, they can just get college credit for participating in STEM core. And at that point, like, they have to come twice a week for 8 weeks and it's already in their schedule. So there's no reason they can't just keep coming twice a week for the other 8 weeks. And so they're committed to that for a full academic year. We'll set it up again in the spring. So, yeah.
That's
wow,
awesome.
love it.
Also, I would say for those maybe who have trouble maybe trying to like round up their students and have that consistency in regards to seeing them, if you know, I know at our school we probably wouldn't be able to do what Cinnamon's doing, which I think is freaking awesome. But, you know, if you write it into your maybe contract at the beginning, before they even start, and go over that with them and let them know this is a requirement that you have to meet at least once a week for an hour, and make it like a Friday thing, or make it a day where, you know, if you look at the overall like schedule of classes or the classes that your students regularly take, find kind of like a common time where they could meet, you know, doing something like that, but just writing it into your contract so you can kind of have that captive audience every week, or maybe every 2 weeks or something, would be a good idea too, just because, again, I know sometimes when the semester starts, or if you don't have the support at your campus from admin to be able to do something that they like over at Fort Lewis. That's something that you can try as well.
It's a good point, Myra. Thanks for sharing, Cinnamon. I saw like a lot of like light bulbs go off in people's like eyes when you said that. So it's a really great idea. All right, what else did we talk about, or who else wants to share?
I could share a bit. So in my group, I was actually with Shaw and I believe Megan, but they had to leave earlier. So just me and Shaw spoke a bit. We went a little bit off topic and kind of talked a little bit about how transitioning back to in-person, or at least for myself, transitioning back to in-person has been nice, just because we're able to like interact with more students in person, but also making sure to have time to incorporate an online space for flexibility for students who may still be enrolled in some online classes, just because some courses are being like offered in hybrid ways, or some are completely remote. So there's some students who are doing in person, some students who are doing remote. So just making sure to be mindful of students and what works best for them, and making time to continue to provide like online services for them. And additionally, we just kind of talked about like the tutoring services that we have like available for our students, and how we've noted that the pandemic has impacted a lot of their like math skills. And so Shaw like shared that he'd be happy to, because he does online tutoring, and he'd be happy to support any of our students who need additional support. So that was really nice. And then on top of that, we talked about, just like some general things that we'd want to, topics that we plan on going over with students, such as, time management, like math anxiety, and like goal setting. But then also just kind of providing space to like see how the transition to in-person is going, to see like what other areas are students having challenges with, and like kind of being aware, or trying to make note of what are the challenges that they are facing now, so that we could provide services to tackle those challenges that they're facing earlier on. And then specifically, I'm trying to see if there's a way that I could continue working with the faculty that I worked with in the summer, just because I know that a lot of students enjoyed participating in the hands-on STEM activities during the summer bridge that weren't necessarily tied to, they were more fun because there was no grade tied to it. It's just participate, have fun with the experiment, and they really like the opportunity to apply some of the skills that they were learning in their math session and like science workshops into hands-on things. And yes, I learned that like a lot of students do prefer doing like more hands-on things. So that was nice to see. And so hopefully some faculty would be open to continuing to provide some kind of opportunity for students throughout the semester.
Thanks for sharing, Angie. I'm curious, looking in the room, who else did a summer bridge? I think just Al. But do you feel the same way, just in terms of being able to like new connections with faculty? And have you seen that as an advantage at all as you've moved into the academic year?
Somewhat. So we only had one faculty member, involved in our summer bridge. Then I had my math coaches who we could no longer keep. So kind of the way our summer bridge was structured, it didn't lend to us moving into additional kind of interactions through the fall. However, I still am working with our the math chair, and we're going to be working with really putting stuff together for next summer, and those things be working much better. But I haven't had those interactions necessarily with the folks who worked with our summer bridge. Just kind of how we were structured, because basically he's the math instructor is teaching his math courses now, during the semester. And then our other two folks aren't necessarily with us anymore because we didn't have the budget to carry them over. Now, I did say something in our group session that we're going to do a robotics workshop. So we did have some left over. So we're going to do our Legos robotics workshop, and one of our math coaches who did help this summer, she has already agreed to come back to help do that. So that's one thing, but it's still minimal, but it's not an extensive interaction. And that's probably about the extent of kind of what we can do right now with kind of those limitations.
Yeah, but no, that's still quite big in terms of being able to get that movement. And then thinking of, I know quite a few of you have done like smaller workshops like that. And just, we look at so many resumes, just being able to see like how students are able to translate that into technical and hands-on experience from a smaller workshop that isn't even for like as a full class speaks volumes. So great work, Al.
Yeah, because we watched back one of the videos that you and Myra did for the resume workshop in our workshop this past Friday for our first session, just to make sure everybody had a chance to at least see one of those. And then I pointed out to them that, look, I think you all illustrated on there too that, look, that doing those robotics types of workshops are really something that's really good you can put on there. and I wanted to remind the students, hey, those are the things that you really want to be looking at, making sure you add and incorporate in there. And that just made it even better that we're going to try to do that anyway. So we went ahead and tried to, we're kind of in the process of putting her on our schedule, just finding some time that she can do that for us, even if it has to be virtual and we have to pre-record it. She has all the equipment at her home already. So we can make that happen.
And also I would add out, or even for anyone who can't, maybe, I know at our school, we ran into the issue of, with the dean we had, she was able to find some funding to get like Arduino kits for our students and get some other stuff. And we were able to kind of pay for a faculty member to do like a workshop session with like, programming the Arduino or stuff like that. But then it got to a point where she's like, I don't have any more funding for this. We need to try to convert it into like a class to make it sustainable. But if you find yourself in that kind of situation where there is no funding, also just encourage students to, YouTube it, right? A lot of the employers have also mentioned like, they look at students who are those, creative little thinkers and like take self-initiative to kind of go out there and figure, like work on skills. I've met with a lot of your students who they like to build their own PCs. I'm like, not everyone can build their own PC, so that's awesome to put on there. Arduino kits are pretty inexpensive. They run like 20 to 30 bucks on Amazon. If you YouTube it and start kind of tinkering with that stuff too, and just just encouraging them to work on those things like that. If you're unable to provide, because there's no funding at your campus, but encouraging students to do that too is, I think, a big thing. Self-teaching themselves is a good idea too. So just ideas.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
That's a good point, Myra. So we just have a couple minutes left. I wanted to open the forum for any final thoughts, or if anybody didn't get a chance to share. Thanks, Cami. No, yeah, I think everybody spoke. Awesome. All right, y'all. Appreciate you taking the time, an hour from your week, to hang out with us and reconnect with the group. As always, I will send out updates for our coffee breaks, all the workshops we have coming up, academic tracking. I'll send out the recording of this session and some of the resources that we talked about. As always, growth sectors here, so feel free to reach out to us if you want to touch base individually or if you have questions, but keep up the great work. You're not alone, and we will bring the group back together in a few weeks. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.